Mark Walters.
Oh, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now. I could say this is the Friday edition because it's Paul Markel coming up today, and Paul's usually with us on Fridays, but we have a long holiday weekend coming up, and we're not really sure what we're going to do tomorrow. Greg in Dallas, Texas, here from the CZ Studios in front of the Patriot Mobile mic at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. How are you down at the mothership with all the bells and whistles and buttons and lights and switches?
I'm doing pretty good up to my eyeballs in weekend programming.
Did you get all that? I can't believe I got that out without stumbling.
Yeah.
Good heavens. All right, well, let me do this. It could be because I'm drinking some iced blackout coffee over here, which is really, really good. I got to tell you, might as well just ask me how many cups I had to start my day today, Greg.
I suspect that was coming. How many cups of blackout coffee have you had, included that one today?
More than I should have, and that's probably going to be evident as we move through the hour on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense today. Yeah,
Thanks
great, right? Well, it beats the energy drinks, but nonetheless, I've had I think 4, including this one. So that's the number anyway. But this is a fairly large tumbler, I might add. But it's just so good. The iced coffee is so good. I have some vanilla in it. Oh, man, it's sugar-free. It's wonderful stuff. Anyway, we are live, Greg, on both of our locations over there. I'll let you tell everybody how to do that. Get in on the chat. And then we're going to go to Paul Markel. And I want to talk about the ATF 4473 today because I watched Jared Yanis's YouTube video.
I saw the same video.
He brought something up. This is why he's brilliant. His analysis on this was just dead spot on. Now, I've asked him to come on the show Sunday, but he's going to be doing some training and can't make it. But we're going to have this discussion. We'll just reference him here because his analysis was fantastic. Let's go, Greg. Start us off.
Yeah, sure. You can watch the show over at YouTube. Just search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can also watch us over on X at AAR Mark, and you can always watch us over at armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon and select your watch live or listen live option. And if you'd like to join our live chats, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That will do it. Now, you saw that video.
Yeah, I saw a couple of clips of it on social media earlier.
Yeah, it's interesting. And, you know, Paul Markel, student of the gun, welcome in. We see you up on camera. You're looking great. You're looking totally relaxed. What do you got in that mug there, my brother?
Oh, I've got some brutal awakenings that I ordered from Blackout Coffee using the promo code STUDT20.
Well, I got to tell you, the Brutal Awakening is pretty powerful coffee.
Yeah, there's no vanilla in it.
You know, that's foo-foo stuff, right? There's no vanilla. Don't you love the way he did that, Greg? That's Paul saying,
Yeah, I saw that.
What a wimp. Foo-foo drinks. But I have not shied away from the fact, Paul, that I'm the guy. I'll call you one day if I ever pull up to Starbucks, and I'll let you listen to my order. Hi, welcome to Starbucks. How may I help you today? What can we get started for you in the oven? I don't want anything in the oven. That's why I'm at Starbucks. I'll have a sugar-free vanilla latte with boom, boom, boom. Put some whip on it. Throw some cinnamon on it. I'm that wimpy guy, but I don't ever go there anymore. I make my own blackout coffee. That's just the way it is. But I do put some flavor in it from time to time. I know. I have some Strike Force that's 200 milligrams. I think I might have gotten into that by accident this morning. I'm not real sure. And what's interesting on camera with you today, Paul, I don't have to put a crawler up there for you because your name is right there in the background, perfectly laid out. It looks fantastic. Let's talk about the Form 4473.
There you go.
And some changes. One of the changes that I wanted to see as part of the 34 revisions from the new ATF director, Robert Cicada, and the DOJ was I wanted to see the elimination of sections 18 and 19, talking about race and ethnicity. Now, they did make the gender deal, the binary, non-binary nonsense. It's male or female, which is the way it's always been, ladies and gentlemen. Anything else is made-up terms. You're either male or female. You're boy or girl, one of the two. Got it? It's pretty easy to figure that out. Go back to school if you need to figure that one out. But the fact of the matter is they didn't remove 18 and 19. In fact, Paul, they made an addition to it when they added the category Middle Eastern / North African. MENA is the checkbox, which has been added to the race ethnicity section. So I'm going to ask you why you think it is that they would make that change, or any change for that matter, Any idea why they might do that? Jared Yanis at Guns and Gadgets really pulled this one out, man. It was beautiful. Go for it. Why do you think they would do that?
Well, what we've seen in our lifetime is the form changes generally indicate that they're just trying to justify their existence. When they came up with the non-white Hispanic or white Hispanic, or what's hilarious to me is they put region or country or nationality of origin, but if you're a honky, then you just check Caucasian.
Well, I don't disagree with any of that. I agree with all of that. They have combined the format on 4473. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, remember, the Form 4473, the Second Amendment, as we've heard often, is not a second-class right. But I want you to name me another right where you have a form blank, blank, blankety blank in order to exercise your constitutional right. This is unique to the Second Amendment.
Well,
so
you're speaking logically.
Trying
and we
to,
can't
anyway.
apply logic and reason when it comes to the other side and gun restrictions. There's no logic that can be applied to it. I was thinking today, I was on one of the gun websites, and I'm not going to give them a free plug, but they wanted to, you could choose their products by compliance, right? So they how they have the drop-down menu, and they're like handguns, and then they had a subtext menu that said state compliant. So you can go and find out if your state is compliant. And I immediately thought it was how just bizarre that is, how the Second Amendment can be parceled out and altered state by state. Let's go ahead and do First Amendment. Let's say Wisconsin decides that the Lutheran Church is the official state religion of the state of Wisconsin, and that all Lutheran churches will get preferential treatment, and all other churches must first apply for a permission slip in order to open a church in Wisconsin. Can they do that?
If it's run by Democrats, they're going to do it regardless because they don't care. I know where you're going with this, and I'm going to tie this into the category too.
Would the Supreme Court allow that?
Well, I would hope not.
And people are like, "Oh, that's crazy! Come on, there's no way." It's like so a state cannot establish a state religion because of Amendment 1, but a state can decide which guns you're allowed to have, and it's still okay based on Amendment 2. Really?
Allowed.
Really?
Remember. We're talking
Are you
about
sure
allowed.
about that?
This is the operative word, allowed. Let's tie this over to the new category here. Thinking about what Paul just said. Why would the government, this is why when this originally came up about 2 weeks ago when the changes were announced, prior to our knowledge of what was going to occur, my thought process out loud on this microphone in this studio was maybe they're going to finally get rid of race and ethnicity. Why does it matter? What are they looking at? Jared Yanis made it very clear. When I look at this and they add a new one, by not eliminating them, but adding a new category, it tells me that the government is categorizing who's buying guns. And this is, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, it's part of a confirmation of some of our greatest fears, that they're keeping a registry. The government wants to know why.
There was a good piece on Shooting News Weekly yesterday regarding the use of AI and how the government can use the AI machine, even though it's technically illegal. Congress has said, no, you are not allowed to create a gun registry. They can just let the robot do it.
Yeah, and give them plausible deniability.
And give them the information. They can just and say, oh, we didn't tell the robots to do it. We just asked them for the information, and the robots gave us the information.
Yeah,
and thereby circumventing, the fact that it's illegal for them to register.
This is exactly why we have to keep power in check, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I'm a big fan of Robert Cicada, and we're getting ready to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Paul Markel-Student of the gun. But I would encourage everybody to go watch Jared's video at Guns and Gadgets today. He gives a much, much deeper dive into it than we have time for here on this program, with commercial breaks and radio breaks, top of the hour, side of the hour, bottom of the hour. So give him a view over there at Guns and Gadgets on the new Form 4473 revisions and why it matters. And we are in the commenting period, ladies and gentlemen. You can visit there and make your comments heard. We'll be right back with Paul. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense continues here in what is a very hot day. I was just telling you, Greg, during the break that we had a big thunderstorm just about a half hour ago and walked outside of the studio afterwards, and, man, it's just hotter than fish grease, dude.
Well, we're sending them more your way.
Hawkins. Oh, I know you are. The dog days are coming, man, and I'm looking forward to it. Just saw Paul Markel there ripping some guitar during the break. I did a Mark with Guitar segment yesterday, Paul, and I'll ask you about your guitar here in just a moment. But, ladies and gentlemen, I have the most special guitar I own, which I have not talked about yet, that I'll do probably on Sunday for you on the Marks with Guitars issue. And it's the one guitar that, well, I'll just leave it at that. I've not talked about it yet, but I'll show it to you. It's absolutely beautiful. And, well, that's for another segment, but stay tuned on Sunday. We'll do that during one of the breaks. Guys, make sure to go out of your way to visit all of our great partners. That includes the National Rifle Association. Please join the NRA. We need your support here. Now, it's nra.org/AAR. What is the guitar there? I believe, have we seen that one yet before? You've got a semi-hollow body there. What is that, an Epiphone?
An Ibanez.
It's an Ibanez. Okay, I don't believe we've seen that one yet.
It's
Hollow
an
or
Ibanez
semi?
semi-hollow.
Semi, nice.
Yeah, semi-hollow with the special selector.
Yeah, so, you know, the semi-hollow, a lot of people, well, what's the difference between that and a hollow? You've got that mahogany stud, we'll call it, running right down from the neck all the way down, and it helps to buck that feedback and all. They're beautiful guitars, and in fact, I'll just tease this one. My most special guitar is a semi-hollow body, and we'll go into that on another show. But it's good to see you ripping. It's good to see you playing that guitar, brother.
That's my oldest son's favorite guitar of mine. Every time he comes to visit, that's the one he grabs off the rack. You
know, Ted Nugent still does, plays a Gibson Birdland. Those are hard to come by now. If you find them out there, they're very pricey, but anywhere from $8,000 on up. But that's a hollow body, and he ripped that hollow body. It's not a guitar that you normally would associate with somebody playing the hard rock and roll that Ted did. But, boy, he could make that thing scream like nobody else.
Indeed.
Indeed, he could. Let's go back to the Form 4473 and Jared's video we closed out in the last segment. Guys, I want you to go watch that video. I'm not going to pull any clips of it here right now without any permission from him. I haven't had an opportunity to talk with him about that yet, but it's important because when you see that they've actually added something that should have been pulled off to begin with, it is a telltale sign, Paul, that they are keeping these records. They are using these numbers for a reason, and that begs this question. What else are they using, Paul?
Well, first of all, they've been told that they're not allowed. And
okay.
You know, thanks to the world that we're in, and everything is convenient now, right? So I don't know about you, but quite often when you go into these the modernized gun shops, they're like, "Oh, we just do it online. We do it online. It's so much. It's way easier. It's more convenient." Okay, cool story, bro. But it's the millisecond that you put that information online, you have no idea not only what person is accessing it, but what robot is accessing it. So whereas it used to be, you know, when you and I first started buying guns, you filled out the form and they took it, and after they made the phone call and they put it in a file and it went into a file cabinet, and they were required to, by law, to hold on to those records for however long. But that's as far as it went. That's where it stayed. It stayed on a piece of paper in a filing cabinet in your favorite gun shop in their basement or their overflow storage or whatever. Well, today, thanks to the convenience of digitizing the forms, it's so convenient. Isn't it convenient? Our lives are supposed to be convenient. Well, now you have absolutely no idea what AI bot is scrubbing. They're like, "Oh no, it's the government that's secure." Cool story, bro.
Did you ever think?
Story. Tell me more about security.
As I was listening to you, I sat back and chuckled. I never thought, in all the years that I've known you, and going back into my mind's eye on this and just drawing back from memory, I never thought I would say or hear that what robot is doing with it. Did you ever expect to say that at any time in your life? Not just, because you like you said.
Yeah, you're like, oh, come on, man.
Right. I mean, look, I go back to the days
actually,
in my first job where you had file cabinets that were as long as the wall. You had huge file cabinet rooms. You had file cabinet buildings in many cases for legal documents or rate requests, whatever it may have been, that were stored. But now, obviously, computers have changed all of that. There's no question about it, and that's for the better. There's no doubt. It can all be used for good, but it can also be used for bad as well, particularly like this if it's a registry.
Yeah, and it used to like, oh, well, it's just going to go into, back when it was on the computer. Mm-hmm. Like it was actually on that unit that was in that building, in that room.
You had to access it with a drive.
That's a thing of the past now.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, no, we can't do that anymore. It has to be offloaded to whichever data storage point, and however many. I mean, I don't know if you've kept up with the what was the dude? He's still in Russia, right? The one who exposed the government for spying on us. What was his name?
Yeah. Snowden.
Yeah, the kid, Snowden, Edward Snowden. Yeah, and that was 15 years ago that he exposed the government for spying on your private conversations. That was before they had a robot to do it for them.
And well, now it's the cloud, is what you're referring to. It's it's rather than having the large file cabinet storage centers. You go back in the day, NSA had buildings and buildings and buildings, and still does. Buildings filled with all of your information, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the scary part about this. I don't care who the director is. I know for a fact that Robert Cicada is one of us. But the ATF is government. It's an organization that shouldn't have to have a leader because it shouldn't be there to begin with, particularly when it comes to our firearms rights. The fact that it's there already lets you know that any government organization is by its very nature and design going to want to grow itself and expand itself. And when you're talking about record keeping like this, that is not required to exercise any other constitutionally protected right in our Bill of Rights. This should concern every single one of us because it's also indicative. Do you believe that this is the only thing? Does it stop there is my question. The answer to that is no, it does not. Will we ever get the answer? Well, GOA has found out and others that they've got over 1 billion records now that they shouldn't have. The new director can tell us they're going to get rid of it. But with all of this computing, everything that we're talking about, the revision of this form, it should have been wiped out in the first place. Why wasn't it wiped out in the first place? Now, Paul, we're getting ready to take another break. When we come back, we'll carry on that conversation. I also want to talk about a Second Amendment Foundation and, again, its partners petitioning the United States Supreme Court again for review in a case out of Maryland. And it kind of ties to the Second Circuit that we just saw slap Hochul and the rest of those morons up in New York that pass all this nonsense that infringe on your rights. It ties together with that. I was discussing a little bit of that with Cam and Company, Cam Edwards on Cam and Company today. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to go check it out. I'm sure it's up there for you. And Cam and I had a great time. Anyway, in the meantime, when we come back, we'll go into those two different directions and whatever else we can to wrap up a Thursday, Friday with Paul Markel-Student of the Gun the day after Garbage Day. We'll be right back. Let's remember to make that mic live for you so you can hear me. This is a Patriot Mobile phone because I did visit patriotmobile.com, ladies and gentlemen. You can do the same thing, patriotmobile.com, patriotmobile.com/AAR. And do yourself a solid. Start working with a company that supports your rights and your freedoms and your gun rights. And I love giving this out because when Scott was on the program, Scott Coburn, one of the principals of the business, mentioning that they encourage all of their employees to carry and carry openly while at work, and 80% of them do that. Now, go find out. Ask your employer. Will your employer allow that? Some will. Most will not. Patriot Mobile does. They do support your gun rights. They're all over the country supporting your gun rights and donating to every organization that you do as well. PatriotMobile.com/AAR. Don't forget DanielDefense.com. Don't forget CZ. It's Patriot Mobile microphone here. Don't forget to join Virginia Citizens Defense League at VCDL.org and Arizona Citizens Defense League at AZCDL.org. And while you're at it, hit that code up top there, that QR code, and grab you some Blackout Coffee. More about our other partners when we return after the next break. Paul Markel-Student of the Gun, welcome back in. I'll give you the final word on the registry. People need to be paying very, very careful attention here, no matter how friendly this organization is in its present form. It is still a government organization that wants to grow, that will continue to grow, and by its very nature infringe on your rights just by design. Paul, I'll give you the final word, and we'll move over to what SAF's up to now, again.
No, it's something that people just need to get a grip on, is that the purpose of government is to, you can't hear me?
Oh, no, I was just saying get a grip on it. There you go. See, Paul can see me. That's why he saw my hand.
I sorry. I was like, oh, no, is there a problem? No, the nature of government is always to grow. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the United States government or British government or whatever. The nature of government is always to grow and always to gain more power for itself. And that was what we struggled with in 1775 and 1791. We had a pretty good handle on it, but we've let it slip away from us.
Well, when you go back, when you talk about that growth, you're absolutely correct about that. It does not matter what division it is. And the problem that we face, ladies and gentlemen, is that when government grows, it grows at the expense of your freedom. So keep that in mind. That's what we're talking about here.
Oh, it needs your money.
Yeah, and money. That's correct. And money is freedom as well, too. We can make that argument. Absolutely can make that argument. Let's pivot to the Second Amendment Foundation, who, I got to tell you, I've never been more proud of Alan Gottlieb than I am right now. I know how much work he puts into this and has. I know his history very well. I know it intimately. A very close friend of mine. And I know what it's done. I know the effort. I know the time that he has put in. I have talked to him on the West Coast at 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time, midnight Pacific Time, and he is still at it. And there is a method, Paul, to the madness at SAF. And Adam Kraut is picking up that torch and carrying it now. And hopefully at some point in the very near future, Alan will be able to retire, and the Second Amendment Foundation will be able to continue to do everything it's doing, which apparently is absolutely 100% on track. But the Second Amendment Foundation and its partners, FPC no doubt involved in this, have now petitioned the Supreme Court for review in what's known as the Novotny v. Moore case, which is SAF's challenge in Maryland to their so-called sensitive places carry ban. Now, this was, as we know, Paul, was a complete joke of a workaround in a post-Bruin environment when they started throwing their post-Bruin temper tantrums. And that has now been, Paul, it's hard to believe, but an entire high school education this month has gone by 4 years since Bruin was decided. It will be next month, 4 years since Bruin was decided. It's hard to believe that time moves that quick. But Maryland was among the states forced to change their carry permit laws after the Bruin decision held that every American had the right to carry in public. Now, let's tie this to the Second Circuit in New York that was just decided the other day. What did New York do? Decided to make every place sensitive and off limits, most famously Times Square. That's still being fought right now, and we will eventually win that one as well. So what did they do as far as sensitive places? They determined by default that every private business open to the public was by default a gun-free zone unless the owner said otherwise. Very intimidating to be an owner of a whatever it is that's open to the public, be it a restaurant, convenience store, whatever it is, clothing store, whatever it is, coffee shop, anything, name it, if it's privately owned. Are you going to go out there in New York and put guns welcome sign? Well, the state knew that. That's why they did what they did. Those businesses feel the pressure from the state. You can, but we don't want you to. That's why they write the laws the way they do. That's why it's so important that SAF continues to fight this battle. Since the Supreme Court's 2022 decision in Brew, and I'm quoting from Adam Kraut, states have found novel ways to circumvent not only the court's holdings, but to continue infringing on the core rights protected by the Second Amendment. By labeling essentially all areas open to the public sensitive places, municipalities have attempted to completely ban the possession and carry of firearms in public all over again. We are hopeful presenting this case to the Supreme Court provides an attractive opportunity for the court to once and for all clarify what places are and are not sufficiently sensitive to justify extinguishing people's rights. And Paul, if you go back to Heller, all the way back in 2008, hard to believe we say all the way back in 2008. That's 1 year after iPhones were invented, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while. Doesn't seem like it, but it has. When Scalia stayed within the guardrails and defined, while it's historically, and he mentioned that in Heller, such as government buildings, etc., I kind of wish he didn't say that, but he did. And it goes down in the majority opinion as part of the precedent. So, Paul, do we find ourselves in a quandary yet again, or do we are just forced to crush them again one more time, apparently?
No, it's well, this is number one. It's a reason why we can't take a break. We can never just, and we've talked about this before, ad nauseum, is that most people on our side don't want to be bothered with it, so they vote for whoever their favorite guy is, and if their favorite guy gets elected, then they're like, okay, everything's fine. I'll be back and I'll pay attention again in 4 years. But we can't, like we've seen with California, New York, you name it, the will of the people is exercised, and then the state says, yeah, but we don't care. So we're just going to go ahead and ignore that. The Supreme Court says you cannot restrict your citizens from being able to carry concealed firearms or carry firearms. And the state says, yeah, we hear you, but we're just going to go ahead and figure out a way to ignore that. And it's, the fact, Maryland is a tiny little state, and, most of Maryland is Baltimore, right? And Baltimore, the suburbs of Baltimore, and then you've got that festering pustule of Washington, D.C. that's stuck up in the corner up there. But it really is sad that the people, and quite frankly, I don't know if the people of Maryland care enough about their rights. Well, I don't think they do, based on their voting record.
Thank you. Based on how they vote, I tend to agree with you.
They don't care.
They don't care. Or they wouldn't be voting the way they're voting. Part of what's interesting to this, and I know we're going to run up on the break, but that's okay. We have another segment. Let me quote again Adam Kraut. Because this case addresses a wide variety of locations, it is an ideal vehicle for this court to clarify the narrow scope of the historical sensitive places. There's Bruin again. Limitation on the right to keep and bear arms. There is no historical tradition of banning carrying firearms in crowded places or places where, quote unquote, vulnerable people are present. Now, joining the SAF was Maryland Shall Issue Firearms Policy Coalition, the Maryland State Rifle and Pistol Association, and 4 private citizens. So another power 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 punch coming at Maryland at SCOTUS on this. And when we come back from the break, I'll tie that right back to New York and the Second Circuit decision again, because they specifically addressed parks, urban, which is crowded, versus rural. Don't go away. Welcome back indeed. Final segment we're calling today Friday because tomorrow I'm likely going to tape a show for you tomorrow because Greg is going to be taking some time off to kick off Memorial Day weekend, and we appreciate that very much and get that. If not, we'll have an encore. It will depend on time tomorrow and whether or not we can get those segments in for you, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to do so. Regardless, I'll still be talking about this, and that's attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. This card represents my lawyer, ladies and gentlemen, my self-defense lawyer, not my estate planning lawyer, not my civil attorney that helped me sue and lose to ChatGPT's OpenAI, but my self-defense lawyer. That's all they specialize in, is keeping me out of the slammer if I am forced by a criminal to have to defend my life or that of my family or friends, community, whatever it may be. This card is my lawyer, and it's $37 a month. And I had a question from someone yesterday, I think I mentioned it yesterday, that said, hey, I'm 35, why is it 37? That's because January it went up, but it only went up a measly $2. It's $2 a month. 37 times 12, ladies and gentlemen, is far less than 1 hour rate of a high-quality self-defense attorney, which you're going to need. It's not necessary to waste that money, and you do not want to find yourself in that position and go, oh, man, I should have done it. I was thinking about it. Just do it. Get off the fence. Do it right now. Treat yourself on Memorial Day weekend. Put an attorney in your pocket like I have and like my kids have, my wife, my parents, family, friends, and many of you. Attorneysonretainer.us. And before we go back to Paul, I want to let you know, too, there's some great prices over at Bud's Gun Shop on the accessories. So if you're looking for magazines, those of you in Virginia, other states, you want some good prices on some of those 30-round magazines, they're all over there. And those are your standard capacity, by the way. But the assault firearms bill calls them high capacity. So go get them while you can. Bud's Gun Shop is shipping all over the country. That's budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com. Paul Markel-Student of the Gun, welcome back in, brother, for this final segment. I do want to quote Alan one more time. I quoted Adam Kraut. Let me quote Alan on Maryland, because this puts everything in perspective. And I will tie it back to the urban carry, by the way, that was referenced moments ago. States that for many years refused to grant carry permits at all and were forced to do so after Bruin passed these so-called sensitive places carry bans, resulting in citizens continuing to have their right to bear arms trampled. Even with permits, residents in Maryland still face 5 years in jail for carrying a firearm just about anywhere people actually need or want to go out in public. This infringement cannot be allowed to stand, and we encourage the Supreme Court to provide guidance on these senseless laws. 5, ladies and gentlemen, 5 years in prison. Now, to go back to the, real quick, Paul, to go back to the urban-rural, the urban is equivalent here to crowded places, which is why and how these two cases tie together. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we will win these cases, but this is the crap we have to go through. Paul, go ahead, take it away.
What we need to do here in the United States, or if we want to call this the United States of America anymore, what we need to do is when people violate, now, if a police officer knowingly violates the rights of a citizen and uses his position of authority,
under the color of law.
Right. Mm-hmm. He uses his position under color of law, right? If he violates the rights of a citizen as a member of government, right, there are very stringent punishments. They're strict punishments that are outlined for deprivation of rights under color of law. Now, my question to you and everyone else with a thinking brain, why is it that we are not punishing and charging first and then punishing.
The $1 million question,
charging first
Paul.
and then punishing the people in the House, the Maryland House, the Maryland Senate, the governor of Maryland, the governor of New York, for violating the rights, the constitutional rights of the people under color of law.
Paul, were you not a law enforcement officer, Paul?
Yeah, I was a cop for 20 years.
Right. My point. We take this all the way down to the local police officer, ladies and gentlemen, the sheriff's deputy, who is making an arrest under these laws, these blatantly unconstitutional laws. Paul, this is a quandary. Yeah, again, being a cop nowadays, I've always regretted. I wanted to be a cop when I first got out. I probably should have done. Would have loved to have been a cop early on in my life. I never did. And I kind of do regret that.
You don't want to do it now, brother.
That's exactly where I'm going with this. I wouldn't touch that job. I wouldn't. Would you? At this point, having done that 20 years?
I would go back and do that for all the tea in China.
You know, it would be very difficult. I asked of ATF agents on the program, Paul, how do you do what you do knowing that what you're doing is destroying a family under a regulation that you do not have the authority to enforce, especially under penalties of imprisonment through regulatory that you don't make law at that agency. What does that say about the individual officers that directly violate their oath? And it's not a job I would want. I'm telling you that right now.
It's 1943 Berlin.
It's bad.
Our neighbor Heinrich, he's in the SS, but he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, right.
His kids play with our kids. You know, just because he's in the SS doesn't make him a bad guy. I mean, he's our neighbor. And, you know, people are like, oh, I know a guy who's in the HF, and he's a really nice guy. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't change the fact that it's an unconstitutional, criminal, tyrannical organization. You're like, And getting back to the Maryland thing, the New York thing, we're never going to be rid of these criminal tyrant politicians unless they are made or held accountable for their behavior. And that is the problem, Mark. No matter how many lawsuits we win, SAF, GOA, fire policy, whatever, we win the lawsuit. And they're like, hey, the court just said that the governor of New York was wrong and violated the Constitution. Okay, cool. Where's the punishment?
Yeah. Well, there is none, and in large measure, that's called qualified immunity. And when you talk about under deprivation, violation under color of law, unless there's punishment, they will never stop because there is never a consequence to that. I've lost count how many times I've seen cops who have violated people's rights, been sued, lost their qualified immunity, and wind up at the department at the county next door.
30.
Okay? This is a huge problem. It is a huge problem. Paul Markel-Student of the Gun, we love you for all the right reasons. And you know what, Paul? In case nobody's told you this yet today, I love you. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Paul, take us to the break. Where can people find everything Paul Markel, the professor?
Oh, well, there's an internet, and you can type in SOTGU.com, and it'll take you to Student of the Gun University. You can browse around,
60.
And if you decide you want to educate yourself, you can do that immediately, starting today. If you sign up for one of our online training courses, you can use the promo code AAR, save 15% on your tuition.
Let's throw some gang signs.
There you go.
There's AAR. Get it while you got it, ladies and gentlemen. It's SOTGU.com. Use that promo code AAR. Paul Markel, Student of the Gun. Thank you, brother, for everything that you do. We love having you on. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see you tomorrow. I promise you we will see you tomorrow on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, 4 p.m. Eastern. 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. And I have no idea how we're going to do that yet. We'll make that decision probably on the fly tomorrow morning as we talk with the network to see what works best. But either way, you'll get a fresh program. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. See you on the radio tomorrow, guys. Hey, guys, thanks for sticking in here for a few minutes. Let me take a look. There was a lot of comments in here that I didn't get a chance to look at. Let's see what we have here. Anything fun? Texas Huntsman always in there. Love you, TX, Texas Huntsman. I call you TX, brother. It's just cool. Uncle Ted has some skills for sure. He certainly does. No question about it. I find it interesting. I saw Ted Nugent at Giant Stadium, the Meadowlands, back in the day. Not long after it was built, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, 70s. Fairly new facility. And I saw Ted Nugent, Journey, Frank Marino, and Mahogany Rush, and Aerosmith. Aerosmith was so high on whatever drugs they were doing in the mid-'70s, you didn't even know what song they were playing until they started banging out a big 10-inch record. You could make that one out because it's kind of unique. But they were a mess. Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush were great. Most people are like, oh, man, I haven't heard about them for years. I bet some of you are going to go look that back up on iTunes because they've got some great music. Another band that's fantastic I never get to see live was Montrose. That was back when a very young 19-year-old Sammy Hagar was just busting out the vocals, and he is my favorite rock vocalist of all time, no question. Best screaming voice in rock and roll, I think him and Roger Daltrey. Those two carry it. But Ted Nugent just rocked the Meadowlands back then, and it's very odd for me to look back at that time. I was 15 years old, and as I go back, if I can see myself sitting there like I can, and I can picture that concert like it was yesterday, that I would eventually become good friends with Ted Nugent. He would write the foreword to one of my books, which I think is kind of cool. But yeah, he's got some skills, no doubt. Thanks, everybody, for your comments. Here's what I need you to do. Please go to YouTube and subscribe. Our growth over there is up over 580% in the last 28 days. Let's pop that up over 1,000. It's real simple. All we need you to do is hit subscribe. If you'll just go to YouTube, Armed American Radio, and hit subscribe, you're doing us a huge solid as they open us up to more viewers and begin recommending our shorts and longer form videos. And we need your help to do that. We need your help to do that. Our shorts are taking off over there, but we need help with the long form videos. And the only way the algorithm's going to help us in that area is if you hit that subscribe, like, and put a comment in there. We would appreciate that. It definitely feeds the algorithm. So help a brother out. We're all in this together, ladies and gentlemen. The bigger it gets over there, the more people hear us as we expand across radio, as we expand across social media. Thank you for your assistance. Guys, we'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your day. Stay safe.